Yes. Lazio missed the chance to stay within the point of Napoli as they lose 3-1 away at Parma, and Marco Baroni was very angry.
He should be angry. He's not the kind of guy who moans about referees or moans about VAR too much, although he did have a go earlier. But I think in this game, Lazio outplayed them. And I think if you outplay the opposition and wind up on the losing side, you're right to be angry. They could be a point behind Napoli right now, second in the table.
Yeah.
And I think this is an opportunity. This was very much an opportunity missed from him. And he's doing a very good job this year. Not just in Serie A, but in the Europa League as well, right?
Yeah, they're very good.
So they're putting up big numbers, and he's definitely, I think, one of the revelations of the season in Serie A. Certainly the revelation of the season, I think, coaching-wise. More texter time, Jules. We're blessed today.
We are.
Alexandre Lacazette's hat trick powers Lyon past Nice 4-1. They're in the Europa League spots.
They're very good. They're getting closer as well to the top. They were great.
Do they still get to play Europa League football if they're in the second division next year? Because of the
Yeah, of course they can. Yeah, they will.
How
but
awesome would that be?
Like,
can you imagine he wins the Europa League? That would be a texter move.
That would be such a texter move. And they went to play Karabakh on Thursday night in
Astana.
Yeah, in the Europa League.
Sorry, not in Astana.
In Baku.
In Baku.
And came back. So that even if he rotated a lot, that was still a long journey. So then to win 4-1 on Sunday in a really good performance. We love Alexandre Lacazette on this show, obviously, my guy. Great for him at his age to still be so efficient because it's been a bit of a on and off season. So great.
Okay. You say his age. He's 33. I looked this up. I thought he'd be like 37 or something.
Because he started so young. But this is the last season in France. I think he knows that after that, he's going to go.
Who's aged better, Lacazette or Aubameyang?
Ooh, that's a good question, that.
I'll answer it for you. Lacazette.
Okay. FIFA released their 2034 World Cup bid evaluation reports. Were you a bit surprised by the results, Gab?
Yeah, I was. And
so the report is on Saudi Arabia.
So the report, and also they also have the 2030 one. Yeah. And what they do with this report is they hire a bunch of analysts and stuff, and they look. There's a whole bunch of categories from infrastructure to safety to the stadiums to human rights, the hotels, all of this stuff, and they give points out of 5. And Saudi Arabia scored 4.2 out of 5 average across the board.
She's the highest, no, isn't it?
It's the highest ever. It's higher than what the U.S., Mexico, and Canada got in 2026, which was 4.0, despite the fact that the U.S., Mexico, and Canada have 23 stadiums which have already been built, whereas Saudi still have to build 8 stadiums.
Yeah.
The human rights risk was placed at medium, which Amnesty says you're whitewashing things because obviously there's issues with LGBTQ rights and women's rights and so on. Now, FIFA would say, oh, no, but when we say risk, we don't look at where they are. We look at where they're going. We look at the improvement.
Yeah, it's in
right?
10 years, yeah.
So, but you're improving relative to the present, the willingness, but okay, whatever. It's just not the greatest look. You don't need, look, we know they're going to get the World Cup. You should know that, I'm not saying it shouldn't be an independent committee. There's no reason to score them 4.2 out of 5 because nobody, you just leave the human rights to one side because FIFA say like, oh, we have a different way. But the stadiums don't exist. I mean, they will be there, I'm sure, but they're not there now. So how can you end up scoring this higher than the U.S., Mexico, and Canada bid?
I know.
The other thing is, which I'll mention here, around the same time, FIFA also, if you remember after the Qatar World Cup, FIFA had promised, no, we're going to do a full report, full evaluation on the legacy and the outcome for all the workers who built the stadiums and workers' rights in Qatar. So they did release the report. The report suggested that they give direct compensation to the families of people who were injured and killed in building the stadiums and whatever else. And FIFA like, we're not going to do that. Now they're going to say that we're still giving the money to useful causes, but we're going to give it via a variety of other groups, including various trade unions around the world, workers' rights unions, so on. And they're saying this is not a binding, this is just a recommendation, it's not a binding thing. Again, I don't understand this. If you ask these people for an opinion, I'm not saying you have to follow it 100%, but you should at least explain why do you think it's more impactful if you go and share this stuff out rather than simply cutting a check to individual workers who might have been maimed or whatever.
Yeah.
And when they talk about FIFA's bad PR, I'm sorry. Some of this you bring onto yourself.
Yeah.
Finishes 0-0 between the USA and England in a friendly at Wembley Stadium on the day of Emma Hayes' return to the Sceptered Isle. Jules, what did you learn?
Oh, I learned that I'm not sure how the US didn't win that game because they were so much better, so good, despite not having their front three, the usual front three. No Trinity Rodman, no Mallory Swanson.
No Sophia Smith?
No Sophia Smith either, so not starting. But yet they were so good. They moved the ball so well. I thought it was a really good performance from them. England were, I thought, completely outplayed. Lindsay Horan scored a goal that was rightly disallowed for offside, but the movement and the triangles everywhere was just brilliant. So really good to watch. The second part of the game, maybe not as good, as the first one, but overall, a good nil-nil draw. We said there's good nil-nils and there's bad nil-nils. This one was a good one, I felt, showing how good this team has been under Emma Hayes, and not just at the Olympics and now, but how much she changed the dynamic of this US team after the World Cup, since she took over. And for Wigman and England, I think there's a lot of work to do.
I don't think she was there at the Olympics, but certainly she was already contributing, right? Or was she there at the Olympics?
No, she won the gold medal. But since, for what we saw the World Cup in Australia in 2024,
when she was definitely not there.
In 2023, where she was definitely not there, and how far they've gone now. Like, they are the best team again, which they were not, obviously, at the World Cup and after the World Cup. But the Olympic was good, but I thought they're even better now than they were at the Olympics.
You reckon they could beat Spain?
I think they're probably better than Spain now, yeah.
Why don't we watch that? Why don't they schedule that game?
I know.
Instead of
that's exactly
England and Holland.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. More FIFA, Gab, for you. We expect FIFA to confirm the joint bid for the 2030 World Cup and the Saudi bid for 2034 next month. But when do you think will 2034 be played?
So, who's psyched for another Winter World Cup? Winter by European.
Although it was chilly when I was there last week.
Yeah, but I don't see how they can play this in the summer because it's going to be a lot hotter in the summer. They haven't talked about this. However, they have the Asian Games in Riyadh between November 29th and December 14th, 2034.
Yeah.
And then before that, you have Ramadan, which starts on November 11th, 2034. So I don't see how you can schedule a World Cup
February, then, do you think?
In that window. I think it would need to be January 2035 during the transfer window, or January 2034, maybe, if they want to dial it back and still have it kind of in 2034. It's not ideal. Like, obviously, you can't change the weather, whatever. Maybe you could have thought about this when you bid for the Asian Games. Maybe who knows? Maybe they'll just move the Asian Games.
Yeah,
maybe they'll build
the most important. Yeah,
yeah. Maybe they'll build an artificial island somewhere, move the Asian Games there, and say, no, we're good. Diario AS in Madrid. We love our transfer stories.
We love our transfer stories.
Now, I don't quite get this one. They say there are 3 Premier League players on Real Madrid's shortlist, 3 midfielders to solve some of the issues in midfield.
Yeah.
What makes little sense to me, Jules, is that they all seem to be very different from each other.
Yeah. One is Curtis Jones, one is Rodri, and one is Enzo Fernandez. So the best one, there's no doubt, even if the age is against him compared to the other two, is Rodri.
Right now, he's a bit gimpy, probably. But yeah.
So Rodri makes sense, out of contract in 2026. So there might be something for Real Madrid to do. The other two, in Curtis Jones and Enzo Fernandez, obviously much younger than Rodri, but like you said, different profiles. With Enzo, we've just talked about the Chelsea and how pushing him higher up the pitch serves him instead of playing just in front of the back four.
I'm sure Bellingham would love it if Enzo rocks up.
Exactly. And I guess Curtis Jones can maybe, of the three, is the most versatile one, maybe, that can play a bit everywhere. But is he Real Madrid level right now? I'm not sure. How would you use him? I'm not too sure either.
Can I also make the point about Rodri? Phenomenal footballer, blah, blah, blah. Maybe a year from now, you got a year left in City and the 115 charges. You don't know what's going to happen, whatever. However, he's not going to be Toni Kroos.
In terms of passing, no.
He's going to be somebody else.
Yeah.
He's going to be Chouameni. except he's going to be
Better.
Spanish.
Yeah, and
Tchouameni.
better, yeah.
And maybe the long-term plan is then you turn Tchouameni into a center back for good or whatever. Whatever you want to plan, you're still going to have a Toni Kroos size hole in that midfield. I mean, unless Camavinga
So the best passer here is Enzo. If you want a passer, it's Enzo.
Right.
But Enzo can't play. He doesn't have even. I mean, not that Kroos was the most physical or dynamic out of possession, but probably still a bit more than Enzo.
Yeah, but what I'm saying here is, unless you put Luka Modric in a time machine,
Yeah.
or Camavinga suddenly moves up 3 levels, you're still not going to have that passer in midfield because it's not Rodri. I don't think it's Enzo either, frankly. So, do you go and commit all this money to Rodri? I don't. Is Rodri really somebody they need? I guess is what I'm driving at. Is he somebody who's going to make them better? Yes.
Yeah.
But can some combination of Tchouameni, Camavinga do the Rodri job?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a good point. Gab, I know how much you love your awards. So FIFA released their shortlist for the best, the best awards. And as far as the men's award is concerned, Inter are furious because Lautaro Martinez is not on the list.
So I go back to the point you made, which is, but the players really care about it.
They do?
I don't know if Lautaro really cares about this nonsense. Maybe he does. Certainly Beppe Marotta, the Inter president, he got all wound up. He said it's disrespectful, blah, blah, blah.
He's got a point.
He's got a point. If I'm Lautaro Martinez, I come out and I say, look, there's 10 guys on this list. One of these dudes is retired. I mean,
11 even. So you can have if you have 11, you can have 12. Come on.
Yeah, would it really hurt you, FIFA? I mean,
I'll do it for you, FIFA. I just out Lautaro here, okay?
No, but seriously, he finished 7th in the Ballon d'Or. Different juries, different system, blah blah blah. But like, would it really be such a tragedy if he was on there in place of, say, I don't know, like Florian Wirtz?
Even Valverde, to be fair.
Fede Valverde?
Yeah.
Well, not unless they think Fede Valverde played for Spain and won the Euros. I don't know.
Like,
whatever the criteria are, there's no reason, I think, to kind of isolate him out there. And frankly, there's one name on here who I think is in there on reputation alone.
Yeah?
You know what I'm talking about,
I think I know you're talking about. You don't need to say his name.
I know what upset him, but let's just say he moved clubs over the summer and has a grievance with his former employer.
And he booked his nose at the Euros.
Yeah, I think you should just rise above this. You go tell Lautaro, you want to take your social media, fine, but you shouldn't expect us as a club because you shouldn't care about this nonsense. Like, take your 7th place. He was 6th or 7th in Ballon d'Or.
7th, yeah.
You know, go home. You've got a little 7th place plaque in the Ballon d'Or trophy. You have the Copa America that you won thanks to you. Yeah. Thanks mostly to you. Not Dibu, not Messi. Thanks mostly to you. And all the titles that we won and everything. And Serie A. And go and enjoy that. This is just stupid. This isn't even the final 11. This is just a bunch of nerds, presumably a bunch of old. I think it's his technical committees because like those out of work.
Arsene Wenger.
Okay, we can't play Arsene Wenger. Arsene, come on. Arsene. But it's not Arsene on his own.
No, not on his own for sure.
Putting a list together. And like you're right. If you have 11, why not 12? And I make the same point for the coaches, right?
Yeah.
In Italy, a lot of people are upset. Oh, why isn't Gasperini on there? Right?
Was forgotten as well at the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, he won the Europa League. He's got a smaller budget than everybody else, blah, blah, blah. And then I look at the 5, and I'm like, all right, the guys who are on there, who are you going to remove, right? Because I think it was Scaloni, it was Ancelotti. Yeah. Those guys are going to be there.
La Fuente.
It was La Fuente because he won the Euros. Yeah. Important. I
can't remember.
Oh, it was Pep because,
Pep, of course.
You know, Pep
and
gonna
the
Pep.
Fifth one, I can't remember.
Oh, 5th one was Xabi Alonso.
Yeah,
right?
Xabi Alonso.
Now, again, make it 6. People want to vote for Gasperini. Let them vote for Gasperini.
Exactly.